Okay, go take a look in your kitchen pantry. Chances are you've got a can of condensed milk sitting on a shelf somewhere, right? It seems so simple. Just a sweet, gooey ingredient for pies or coffee. But believe me, the story inside that can is anything but simple. Because hidden in there is a wild story about a massive public health crisis, an invention that literally changed the world, and a product that fueled entire armies and shaped food culture all across the globe. We're going to peel back the lid and uncover that incredible story. Here's how we'll do it. First, we'll see why it was such an unlikely hero by diving into the scary world of 19th century milk. Then, we'll track the inventor's journey to success and see how it went from the battlefield to our kitchen tables. We're even going to break down the science of how it's made. And finally, take a peek into the future of this powerhouse product.
All right, first up, let's totally reframe how we think about this stuff. Before it was a dessert ingredient, condensed milk was a lifesaver.
No, really, think of it as a culinary hero. Before this can came along, giving your kid a glass of milk was a serious gamble. This invention gave people a safe, shelf-stable source of nutrition that had a huge impact. It helped bring down infant mortality rates, it gave soldiers critical calories, and it even became a key item in the global trade that helped build food empires. Now, to really get why this was such a big deal, we have to go back in time, to an era when a glass of milk could actually kill you. Let's look at the crisis that made the can so necessary. In the mid-1800s, it was bad. Journalists were exposing just how terrifying the fresh milk supply really was, especially in big cities. And as this quote shows, the inventor, Gail Borden, saw this chaos not just as a problem, but as a huge opportunity to market his new product as something totally radical, milk that was actually pure. And the problem was just everywhere. You had no refrigeration, so milk went bad almost instantly. In cities, cows were kept in these filthy urban stables and fed literal garbage from distilleries, producing this stuff called swill milk. And to cover it up, sellers would mix in things like chalk to make it look white. For parents, this was an absolute nightmare and a leading cause of death for infants. So, who finally cracked the code? Well, like a lot of brilliant inventions, it wasn't just one person's aha moment. It was built on years and years of trial and error. You know, the journey to a good can of condensed milk was really a group effort. It started back in 1827 when Nicolas Appert in France figured out how to can milk. But honestly, it tasted pretty bad. Then, in 1835, an English inventor named William Newton had the brilliant idea to add sugar to help preserve it. But the guy who put all the pieces together was an American named Gail Borden. In 1856, he patented a process that combined both ideas, and that's how we got the product we know and love today. But even the best invention needs the perfect moment to really take off. And for condensed milk, that moment was one of the biggest conflicts in American history. Get this, a single 10-ounce can of condensed milk packed a whopping 1,300 calories, plus protein, fat, and carbs. This made it the absolute perfect food for soldiers in the field. It was light, packed with energy, and totally safe to eat. So, when the American Civil War kicked off, the government saw the potential and immediately started ordering huge quantities for the Union Army. All of a sudden, this wasn't some novelty item anymore. It was a wartime staple, and hundreds of thousands of soldiers were introduced to it. And what happens when all those soldiers go home? They bring their new tastes with them. Demand exploded, and pretty soon, it went global. Big companies like Nestle started shipping it all over the world, especially to places where fresh milk was hard to come by. And that's how it worked its way into the heart of so many different food cultures, becoming essential for everything from Vietnamese iced coffee to the incredible Tres Leches cake in Latin America. Okay, so we know the history, but how does the stuff actually work? Let's dive into the simple, but frankly brilliant, science behind it all. The process today is super precise. It starts with standardizing the milk to get the perfect consistency. Then it gets heated up to kill any nasty microbes. But here's the key step. Evaporation. About 60% of the water is gently removed in a vacuum, which keeps the flavor from getting cooked. After that, the sugar is mixed in, and finally, it's cooled down just right to get that iconic smooth texture. But here is the real magic trick. The sugar isn't just there to make it sweet, it's the preservative. When you add that much sugar, you create what's called high osmotic pressure. Basically, it creates an environment that's so sugary, it sucks the water right out of any bacteria that tries to grow. They just can't survive.
And that's why an unopened can of this stuff can sit on a shelf for years. No refrigeration needed. It's genius. And you can see the science right here in the numbers. Look at fresh milk. It's almost all water. Now look at sweetened condensed milk. The water content plummets, and it's replaced by a massive amount of sugar, up to 45%. That's the huge difference between it and evaporated milk, which has no added sugar and has to be sterilized in the can to be shelf-stable.
So this 19th century invention is still going strong today, but what's next? Let's take a look at the next chapter in its story. Well, one of the biggest shifts happening right now is the move to plant-based everything, and condensed milk is no exception. The market for vegan condensed milk is absolutely exploding. It's projected to nearly triple in value in just a few years, all because more and more people are looking for dairy-free options. But it's not a simple switch. Both sides of the aisle have their own hurdles. Traditional dairy is facing questions about its environmental footprint and issues like lactose intolerance. At the same time, the new plant-based versions, made from things like oats or coconuts, have to figure out how to get costs down and, the big one, how to perfectly match that classic creamy texture we all know. Which brings us to this final thought. Gail Borden's whole goal was to solve a very specific problem: how to make an essential food safe and long-lasting. His solution ended up changing the world. It really makes you wonder, right? With all the challenges we face today, like sustainability and food security, what problem is the next great food innovation going to solve? What's the next condensed milk waiting to be invented?
Don't forget to like and subscribe for more How Meets History.